Good morning. Welcome to Unity in Lynnwood, and welcome to our meditation time for those in person and those virtually. I'm Shelley Frederick, and I'm one of your prayer chaplains. So I invite you to get comfortable, to close your eyes, relax, and slow your breathing. As you take a deep breath in, perhaps let it out with a sigh. Let the chair fully support you. You may notice your shoulders dropping, your jaw and tongue relaxing, your eyelids softening. Take another breath and let any tension or busy thoughts go. Any sounds you hear can only take you deeper. As you gently breathe, imagine you are breathing in to the center of your forehead. Feel yourself relaxing and opening into a deep, safe, and knowing place inside. Connect now with your inner vision and intuitive center. Feel or sense it filled with light, knowing you are connecting with the mind of God, connecting with God's higher vision. Imagine your whole mind and being is filled with love, guidance, knowing, and the faith that God is with you every step. As we go into the silence in a moment, perhaps you'll ask yourself, what is your vision for your life? What is your vision for our church or for the world? Trust you are opening more and more to a higher vision as we go and rest in the silence. Gently come back to the room now. Take some deeper breaths. Perhaps move your hands or feet. Remember this deep connection to God's guidance and to your vision. As this sacred time in the silence comes to a close, we remain open, receptive, and grateful for all the ways we are guided. We welcome our church family in person and virtually into our celebration service. We know that divine grace and love greets and enfolds everyone today. We bless and are grateful for everyone serving today. Have a blessed day, and so it is.
Good morning, Unity in Lynnwood. Hi. Welcome, everybody. 3, 4. At this table, everybody's welcome. At this table, everyone is seen. At this table, everybody matters. No one falls between. At this table, you can say whatever. At this table, you can speak your mind. At this table, everything's forgiven. There's enough for everyone. So come as you are. Remember that the door is always open. Yes, come as you are. The perfect gift that you can bring is your heart. So come as you are. At this table, there will be no judgment. At this table, everyone has a seat. At this table, we're all sons and daughters. No place that I'd rather be. So come as you are. Remember that the door is always open. Just come as you are. Perfect gift you bring is your heart. So come as you are.
If you would like to close your eyes, please do. Relax into your chair, your feet on the ground, and take a deep breath. And exhale. As we relax in the stillness of this moment, I center my heart in the abundance of life. With every breath, I inhale peace and exhale gratitude. I am thankful for the blessings that grace me, for the kindness that surrounds me, for the earth that supports and nourishes me, for the air that fills me with life's breath, and the water that cleanses and refreshes my soul. I acknowledge the love that surrounds me, the wisdom that guides me, the connections that strengthen me, and the opportunities that await me. In gratitude, I recognize the divine spark within myself and all people. May this recognition fuel acts of kindness and compassion. May it inspire creativity and joy. And may I remind myself of the unity we share. For all that has been, all that is, and all that will be, I am grateful, and so it is.
So come as you are. Remember that the door is always open. Come as you are. The perfect gift that you bring is your heart. So come as you are. Come as you are. At this table, everyone is welcome. At this table, everybody cares. At this table, everybody matters. Come pull up a chair. Thanks so much. Good to see you all. This is the part where I don't know if you all come for the music or for the speaking, but some of you come for the hugs, right? So do it up. Hug another, elbow, whatever you feel comfortable doing. So We'll be back in a minute. Go for it. Well, I'm in the right place at the right time. Wanna be, I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I wanna be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Well, I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. All right. Woo! Once the hugging begins, it just never ends. It's kind of a good thing, I guess, right? All right, when you're seated, just know that you're in for a little bit of vocal workout and heavy breathing. That sounds weird. Let's see. So in our day and age, in this chapter in our history, we have so many things we can get distracted with. Boy, I won't even say the word. Yeah, I'm going to say it. Politics, media channels, all these things coming in, and boy, I just find that there's actually some kind of a blessing there, I think. And the blessing is we're focused to look inward quite a bit more and hopefully raise our vibration and see that ripple out in those people most close to us and then out into our community and the world. So you get a chance to, this song is called Rise Up. And so guess what your part is? Rise up. So I'm going to get to, it's going to go something like, rise up, and you're going to go, rise up, da-da-da-da, rise up, da-da-da-da. And it's going to go like that, and it'll come around 3 or 4 times. So not all sequentially. It'll probably be spread out a little bit. So. I never pledged allegiance to the few. No, that was our grand old flag, each star in a sea of blue, aiding other nations. We were proud, but then we backed them into corners. You know what that's about? It's about money and power. Those nations used to cower. We've pushed too many times to guess who you'll find? That's us in the corner, holding to democracy's dreams. Remember, by the people, for the people, almost vanished, it seems. So does the dream become a nightmare for me and you? This world has everything, is it only for the few? What do we do? What we're gonna do? Get ready. Rise up, yeah, raise your vibration. Rise up, lifting our creation. Rise up, we can heal this place. Rise up, the human race. It's not a question of thriving, maybe simply surviving. Well, there's something we haven't been trying, but it's not brand new. We've tried a warring and fighting, anger and insults, weapons and words, expecting different results. What do we do? What we gonna do? Rise up, raise your vibration. Rise up, lifting our creation. Rise up, we can heal this place. Rise up, the human race. So let's rise in peace. Don't get stuck on your knees, 'cause in the darkest night, we shine so bright. Rise up. It's not just me and you, though we are not the few. We can be that change. Here's something we can do. Rise up, raise your vibration. Rise up, lifting our creation. Rise up, we can heal this space. Rise up, the human race. Rise up, raise your vibration. Rise up, raise that vibration. Rise up, raise your vibration. Rise up. That's it. Right on. Right on.
Thank you, Steve Mason. That was great. Well, good morning. My name is Frances Johnson, and it is an honor to be here with you this morning. Welcome everyone that is new or visiting for the first time. It's wonderful to see you. A warm hello to everyone that is been attending for years, months, weeks. Thank you for being here. Hello to our online family that are streaming in from the comfort of their home. It's special to have you here today, and we appreciate your presence. Our church is warm, diverse, inclusive, and inviting. There's so much kindness and love at Unity in Lynnwood. It always starts with walking through the front doors, a greeter asking you how you're doing, and you may get a special bear hug. It's great to meet new people and extend your hand. We welcome those of every faith tradition and have no faith tradition. Every person is an individualized expression of the divine. We welcome everyone to our community, no matter your religious beliefs, cultural background, gender, orientation, age, or race. We are a kind and caring and friendly church. After service, please come to the Friendship Hall located across from Soul Things Bookstore. You may meet someone who likes to go for a walk, hang out at a coffee shop, and share a laugh or two with you. Happy Sunday and welcome to Unity in Lynnwood.
I'm not just a singer, I have props too. So, do you know what this is? Yeah, this is a Hands on Housing t-shirt before I blew the arms off of it with, So, every summer, this will be the 6th one, I believe, we have attacked a house as a community, really helped clean it up, do a bunch of things that the homeowner would not have been able to do. And it's a beautiful thing to do as a community, and it's fun. It's, frankly, if you're scared of work, that's okay, come out anyway. You might just sweat a little and get your shirt dirty. But that's coming up July 20th. You can sign up on the church calendar. Also, Hands on Housing is accepting donations of let us borrow stuff. Like if you've got a house painter sprayer thing or Yeah, those kinds of things. That'd be cool. And new attendees get a new T-shirt. Some of us who have done it for a few years might get a new T-shirt. We don't know. So there's a lot of joy and love and strength in numbers that comes with doing the hands-on housing project. So as this community, it's a beautiful part of what we get to do and be and know here. So this is called There's a Circle. I thought I saw Dawn come in. Dawn, all right, you sing the rise at the end of it, okay? That's rise making in the background. Is Michelle in here? Or is she not? Okay. Oh, there she is. We didn't plan to show your tattoo in front of everybody. So we're going to rise with love. That's right. It says rise on it. So that's great. Thanks. There are times we feel downhearted when we'd swear we walk alone. Still we search for any sign that we might find our pathway home. Now there's something oh so lovely, like a star in a crystal night, when I'm reminded deepest darkness can be lit with just one candle's light. There's a circle we're a part of, hand in hand it glows with love. In this circle there's strength in numbers as we rise to lift each other up. With the help of sisters and brothers and some friends I have yet to know, they give me strength to face the future. They lift me up so I'm never alone. And there's a circle we're a part of, hand in hand it glows with love. In this circle there's strength in numbers as we rise to lift each other up. Every breath, every step, every heartbeat in my chest, there's a circle we're a part of as we rise to lift each other up. Come the morning, bright and cleansing, it's gonna warm from the outside in. Nothing shines so, oh, so brightly as the love that shines from within. There's a circle we're a part of, hand in hand it glows with love. In this circle there's strength in numbers as we rise to lift each other up, as we rise to lift each other up. This is where we rise. We rise with love. We rise Thank you.
Steve Mason, everybody. And I also want to thank Brad and Dylan on drums and bass today. They are our guests. Thank you, Brad. Scott and Jonesy are off in some exotic locale this week playing, maybe Enumclaw, I don't know, but they will be back next week. And so it is my pleasure to be here today, and I am Jennifer Lovejoy. I'm going to be the kind of home minister to welcome our guest speaker. Elizabeth Nachman and I are going to be taking turns doing that this summer. And so I want to welcome everyone, especially today. I am so grateful, and I hope every single one of you sitting here, whether this is your first day or you've been coming for years, as Francis said, whether you're online or whether you're in person, this is a special day. This is a new beginning. This is our community unfolding into something new and beautiful. And so I just honor and thank every single one of you here today for joining us. So thank you. And we do have a lot of folks online, and I want to just call that out on the screen back there. We have Pascaline from Nairobi, Deb from New Jersey, our loyal Nairobi and New Jersey folks every single week, Dale from Lake Stevens, Jerry, so good to see you here in person last week, Jerry. We continue to send you healing energy. Colleen, Michael, and Dallery, and Mandy, and another Mandy, and Lori, so many here with us online as part of our virtual family. We welcome you. So we will start, as we always do, with our mission statement, and it will appear on your screen. It is a simple statement. We like to keep it simple, and I will actually mention now that our guest speaker today, who I'm going to introduce in a little bit, was involved back in 2014 in helping this community come up with that statement, working with our board of trustees. So practical spirituality, welcoming community. Practical spirituality, welcoming community. And we always support that with one of the values statements that the board and the community came up with back in 2014. And this week it's number 7. We support people in realizing and expressing their divine potential in spirit, mind, and body. How's that for a unity statement? So let's say together our invocation. You can speak this aloud. You can close your eyes and take it in, just to read it aloud silently, whatever works for you. Though imaged and named variously, there is a singular and eternal ground of being from which all life emanates and into which all life retreats. We choose to call this ground of being God. By extension, we come to understand that we are spiritual in nature, human in expression, and limitless in potential. We gather today to remember such truths, to celebrate our unity, and to honor all life. So it is my pleasure today to introduce our guest speaker, but before I do that, I want to introduce another special guest we have with us today. Reverend Denise Schellenk is going to be Unity in Lynnwood's interim minister starting in September. And she comes she's part of the Unity Worldwide Ministries Transition Ministry Consulting team. And you will get to meet her in much more depth if you stay for the town hall at 12:30 today. So a little enticement there. There's going to be pizza and salad in between, so please stay. But Reverend Denise, if you would just stand up and let people see who you are. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. So our speaker today is Reverend Michael Bogar. Reverend Michael has graduate degrees in Bible, theology, and Jungian psychology and mythology. He's currently a part-time adjunct professor of world religions at Central Texas College, which is located on a campus in Joint Base Lewis-McChord in Tacoma. We'll have to talk about how that works later. He teaches regularly also at the Seattle Unity, Seattle Center for Spiritual Living, and for many years he ran a Unity's church over on Bainbridge Island. In addition to his formal education, Reverend Michael has also worked construction, and he still remodels houses part-time. Thus, his approach to spirituality and teaching is from a full life experience, and he can relate to a wide range of people. He has a way of communicating with those at the top of their game and those ready to quit. And as I mentioned, he is a longtime friend of UIL, not only helping us in developing our mission statement back in 2014, but leading retreats, leading men's groups. So he really has been a friend of Unity in Lynnwood for a very long time. So it's such a delight to welcome you to the platform. Reverend Michael, please, a warm welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that nice introduction. Some of it's even true. So, and I just wanted to mention, you were one of the most pleasant intro people I have seen in a church in a long time. And you as well. It just felt so natural. It didn't feel like, and now I am reading from the paper and I am saying, I love you. Just real from your hearts. Thank you for that. I have been involved with this group for a long frickin' time. Back in 1990, I went through a crisis of faith, and I was a minister, taught part-time in a seminary. 1990, went through a divorce, left the church, left the seminary, and didn't know where I was going. Now, I'm understanding that you all are kind of in a similar situation right now. Yes? You're not quite sure what's coming up. So in 1990, I saw an ad for this little church in Mount Lake Terrace, the Unity Church. Some of you, how many were there back in the old days? All right. So Ann Thomas was there, and I met Ann, and I got to know her, and she put her arm around me and said, come on over here. You don't know where you're at. A lot of us here don't either. So let's kind of find our way together. And I've been involved with this group since 1990. I worked with Ann and Bob. I met Bob through Ann, Bob Thomas, her husband, for those of you that know or don't know. And she said, this is interesting, hearing that you're leaving the evangelical movement and coming into the New Thought movement. Well, my husband is leaving the New Thought movement and moving into the evangelical world through the Galloping Gourmet. What was that guy's name? Yeah, anyway, so Bob and I met on these trajectories and kind of crashed in the middle and helped each other calm down a little bit and go, wait a minute here, there's got to be something in between. And so we have been talking over the years about how the original Unity movement took the best of the evangelical Christianity and the best of the New Thought movement and wed them together to make an all-encompassing group of people that could come from wherever and unify. So that has kind of been what's attracted me, and I found the same thing at CSL, the Center for Spiritual Living, religious science back then, which sounded like a cult. And I have been with you all ever since. Not because I agree with everything, and I doubt if any of you here do either, but because I'm allowed to have a new thought. Oh, the New Thought movement. I was talking with someone a little earlier here this morning and said that it was interesting to leave the evangelical movement, where it was kind of the old thoughts that were sort of traditionalized, to come over to the New Thought movement and find that there were a few New Thought people, in fact, more than a few, who were as ensconced and entrenched in their New Thought movement as the evangelicals were in their old thought movement. So I have been on a journey that has tried to look at all of the diversity in all sides of things. Politics, religion, social issues, all of this, and ask the question, how in the world can we make a circle big enough to include everything that happens in our lives in that circle of spirituality? Because oftentimes I found we talk about spirituality and wholeness as if it's a separate little slice where everything's going well, it's light and life and love, and everything feels good, and I'm whole. But then when the SHIT hits the fan, and I'm over here in this chrysalis, or this place of being completely taken apart, like I was in 1990 and have been several times since, I'm not whole. Well, how do you square that with it's all God? If it's all God, then that circle has to be big enough to encompass the light and the life and the healing and the darkness and the brokenness and the trauma. And that's been the journey I've been on for the last several years. And the phrase I use for that circle is soul making. And that's the title of what I want to explore this morning, asking the question, what is soul making? Now, I'm not going to just use this morning. I have 2 more times you have to have me here. At the end of July, I have 2 more visits. So what we're going to open this morning is the door to this question, answering it. What is soul making? And the next 2 times, we will go further through this door. So if you come away this morning saying, these are some kind of new ideas, don't despair. We're going to talk about it a little bit more in the future. In fact, I would love, and I'm not plugging myself here, but just for my own love of the topic, to have a class or a group come together and talk about this stuff one-on-one, I mean, in a group of people. Yes? All right, good. Well, I'm not putting pressure on, well, I guess I kind of am. But if it happens, I would love it. If it doesn't, it's fine. So, what is soul making? Do we have the slides? Can you put the slides up? I sent slides. Yeah. You don't have them? Well, that's lovely. This is a beautiful example of soul making. All right, well, we don't need the slides then. We'll have them next time. So what I want to do is start with the idea of soul making by giving you some people who have talked about it in the past. I did not invent this idea. It's one I discovered a few years ago and have dabbled in since. One of the first people to use the term was John Keats. Anybody know who John Keats is? Out of curiosity. Who's John Keats? Well, he's kind of a philosopher, but he's known more for, he's a poet. John Keats, 19th century poet. Wrote some beautiful, it was called the Romantic period, where people were talking more kind of a reaction to the scientific worldview that was all over the place in the Western world. The Romantics came along and said, science is good, but we also have to include the heart. So Keats was a poet, and he wrote this beautiful poetry. At about the age of 24, he discovered that he was going to die of tuberculosis, probably within a year. He had just nursed his mother through death tuberculosis, and then his brother died of tuberculosis. So he knew what it looked like to die of this horrible, horrible consumption, it was called, because basically you couldn't breathe anymore. My mother had it, by the way, when I was little and was in Furlands, they called it, the sanatorium, but survived. So Keats was dying of tuberculosis at the age of 24. His fiancée left him because she didn't want to be with the man who was dying, and he was also financially broke. He had just published a poem that was garnering a lot of attention, so there was one bright light in this dark place in his life. And in 1819, in that set of circumstances, he wrote this to his brother. He said, "Call this world, if you please, the vale or the valley of soul making. Then you will find out the use of this world." So what he's writing about here is not some highfalutin metaphysical theological concept. He's writing about something while he's in the midst of dying, brokenhearted because his fiancée left him, just watched 2 family members die. He was in the midst of disintegration. Any of you know what that feels like, to be in the midst of disintegration? Most of us do. So Keats is there and he says, based on what I'm going through right now. Now, he wasn't denying the blissful moments that we have in life. They're there too. We acknowledge those. So please. And if I have a choice between bliss and non-bliss, I'm taking the bliss. So don't hear me to be, I have people say this sometimes, you're affirming suffering. No, I'm not affirming suffering. I am simply recognizing what is. We go through this stuff, and sometimes our New Thought churches are a little bit suspect in the way we sort of brush that stuff aside and say, well, most don't say this now, but they used to say this when I got involved back in the 90s. People would say, well, what's in your consciousness? I'd say, what I wanted to do was just whack them in the nose and say, now, what was in your consciousness to get that? Anyway, so Keats is in the middle of this, and he says, this world is the vale or the valley of soul-making. That is the use of the world. Now, that's a big statement, because that suggests that the very existence of this, not just earth, but the entire cosmos, is the matrix of soul-making. The crucible, the alchemical container of transmutation of a little tiny soul seed into an amazingly unique soul. So that everything we go through, from every thought, fantasy, worry, concern, whatever we go through, all of it is adding to that soul-making experience. He said, I say soul-making, soul as distinguished from an intelligence. There may be intelligences or sparks of the divinity in millions. In other words, each of us comes into this world with a little spark of divinity, but they are not souls till they acquire identities, till each one is personally itself. So we are here to become a self. He goes on to his brother, he says, do you not see how necessary a world of pains and troubles is? To school, and he uses this school metaphor all through the letter. I'm just reading a bit here, but he says, can you not see how the difficulties in this world, makes it a school to take an intelligence and turn it into a soul? Now, if you've been in school, you know what he's saying here. When I took algebra from Tommy Thompson back in high school, I remember sitting in class one day, and he was writing these algebraic equations across the top of the board, and I remember sitting there thinking, this man is Satan. I did not like algebra. Amen? Anybody? Others? How many of you loved it and are good at it? Boo. I hated algebra. So the school analogy is a good one. Because all of us are in algebra class, or whatever, pick your worst topic. Your worst topic. And you're sitting there, and you're looking at this teacher who's saying, this is good for you to learn this, and you're thinking, to hell with that. I'd rather be out on the playground or 1,000 other places. Keats is saying this world is a school for soul making. A place where the heart must feel and suffer in 1,000 diverse ways. I would say more like 1,000,000, but 1,000 diverse ways. Here's the last part I'm going to read. As various as the lives of people are, in other words, as the variety of people out there, so various or different become their souls, and thus does God make individual beings into unique souls. So that is a beautiful definition, and it's a lot longer than that in his letter, but that's a beautiful definition. Essentially, soul-making is the idea that we are in this world as little soul seeds to grow into large souls. Now, Keats is not the only one. I want to give you a couple of other quick examples of this idea. One is from a philosopher named Albert Camus. Anybody familiar with that name, Camus? What's he famous with or famous for philosophically? What's that? Existentialism. And existentialism is a fancy word for saying we're here. What it is, it's saying we exist and that's all we can know for certain. Now, you can get into metaphysics and speculate about the past and the future, but an existentialist says essentially we're here. We show up, we wake up crying, nursing, peeing our pants, pooping on ourselves, and go, what in the world am I doing here? Well, you're existing. For what? And Camus said, we're here to find the answer to that question. Here's what he said in his diary in 1948. He said, if there is a soul, it is a mistake to believe that it is given to us fully created. And most of us have that assumption that we have a fully completed soul that came to us in this world, and that we just sort of live with the soul until we die, and then the soul goes to some soul place. That may be. I'm not up here telling you what I'm saying this morning is the truth. It is a way that I have been able to make the circle big enough to contain the good, the bad, and the ugly. So Camus says, if there is a soul, it's a mistake to believe that it is given to us fully created. I think the soul is created here throughout a whole life. And living is nothing else but that long and painful bringing forth. Let that sink in. That long and painful bringing forth. Now, does that mean there's not pleasure? No. But as C.S. Lewis says in one of his books, he says, God whispers to us in our pleasures and screams at us through our pains. So there's something in the pain, in a soul-making perspective, that takes special place, and oftentimes in our spiritual groups, what we do is just the opposite. We do not allow our spirituality to encompass the pain and the suffering. And again, I am not affirming suffering. Maybe the next time we'll talk about that in a little more detail. A couple of others, very quickly, that originated this thought. Most people don't know this. The first Christians for 300 years, up until Augustine in the 4th century and his doctrine of original sin, and Augustine was an amazing philosopher, and I love reading his stuff, but up until the 4th century, the general Christian perspective was a soul-making perspective. It was not original sin. There was a fellow named Origen, who was probably the first great Christian theologian, and he said in Genesis, when it says, God said, let us make mankind or humankind in our image. Anybody know the phrase after that? And in our likeness. See, we have this in our core, this myth. The two different words, image and likeness, are used there because image points to the initial creation of the human soul, and the purpose of being in this world is to turn that little image seed of God into the full likeness of God, or as C.S. Lewis calls it, a godling. So we are in this world to become godlings, not God, but to become like God in the sense that we have this place of eternal rest and peace and calm. I have no idea how that's going to happen, but it's something to look forward to and to say, I'm going through this stuff purposefully. So as you are in the midst right now of a transition, and I just learned today that Richard gave his last talk here last week, and it was an amazing experience. And for me to follow that is kind of some big shoes to step into. But what I would say is that I'm glad I picked the topic of soul making because you all right now, and one of the images we're going to look at is the butterfly image. You all in the stages of the butterfly, can you guess what you're in? You're in the chrysalis. There's 4 stages. Let's look at it right now. First of all, let me give you a little quiz. I'm a teacher, so I like quizzes. The word psyche in Greek, from which we get psycheology. Ology is the science of psyche. In Greek, what was the word psyche literally referring to? Anybody know? Well, that soul is a metaphor it was referring to, but it had a tangible, say it? That's more of a modern interpretation. Breath is getting closer. What? It's a similar idea in Latin. A tangible, literal object it referred to that you can see and touch. A caterpillar is part of it. A butterfly. When you saw the butterfly floating on the air, a spirit, it was the breath of something moving in the universe. So psyche is butterfly. Actually, when you take a psychology class, you're taking the science of butterfly class. Now, the reason the Greeks loved that term for soul, and the reason originally in the Western language the idea was taken over into our language, is because the butterfly symbolized soul making. It went through stages. And soul making suggests that we're always going through 4 stages. The first stage of the butterfly is what? No, it's the second stage. The larva or the egg. I call that the egg ego stage. It's that stage where we have an egoic relationship that we are the center of the universe and everything revolves around us. And it is a wonderful, necessary stage to come into this world as a little baby ego. You do not have a soul without an ego to start with. Now, oftentimes in our spiritual circles, when we say ego, it's, get thee behind me, ego. Well, that's true too. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says the ego is your greatest ally and your greatest enemy. But you have to start with the egg for the butterfly to get there. Now, a few snooty butterflies look at the eggs and go, you inferior egos, you need to be more like me and be a unity person. I mean, you understand? We do that. Like, oh, you evangelicals, you Republicans. Oh, I don't want to get into that. I will. A few years ago, one of the unity ministers in the Northwest called me and said, would you come and do a workshop in our church on politics and spirituality? I said, I'd love to. And I said, why? She said, because all of our Republicans are leaving the church. That's sad. So we came together and we talked about soul making. So what I'm saying is that just because we think we're in the butterfly stage or we're in more advanced stages and we look at others in what we consider inferior stages doesn't mean they are inferior souls. And that's true on left or right because both groups can look at the other and say they are obviously the inferior ones. So I'm not supporting one side or the other here. I'm just saying we have to be careful in a soul-making world to affirm where we are in our evolution of soul, but to look at others and say, evidently, they are all in their own unique, important place in the soul-making process. And it can take a lot of our judgments. Doesn't mean our opinions or policies have to change, but our attitudes can change. Does that make sense? That's another talk altogether. I'm sorry I opened the door. So the ego or the egg stage is the beginning, and then it moves from egg to caterpillar. And the caterpillar is an expansion of the ego to what I like to call the we-go. Because in the we-go stage, the soul not only falls in love with itself as it does in the ego stage, and by the way, we all have all 4 of these in us all day long. I can go from ego to we-go, and the other stage is in the snap one phone call. So we have the ego, but the second stage is the caterpillar stage. And what do caterpillars do? They eat a lot, but they hang out with other caterpillars. They build nests and hence it's the relationship stage. In soul making, we have to have an ego, and again, we'll talk about that in more detail in the future, but we also have to evolve from ego to we-go, or the relational stage. And in the relational stage, I realize I am not the center of the universe, we are the center of the universe. Now, who's we? Our group. This is partisan politics. If you're a hardcore Republican, that's your we-go. If you're a hardcore Democrat, that's your we-go. If you're a proud independent, guess what? That's your we-go. We all have it. Our marriages are we-go stages. Because in the ego stage, I have only room for myself. But when I marry, I hopefully have some room for my partner, and we start, you get the point. In soul making, we move from it's all about me to it's all about we. And then the third stage is, after the caterpillar, the chrysalis. That little caterpillar is crawling along going, I love my life, I love my party, I love my ego, and then all of a sudden it gets this urge to climb up on a branch and start spinning a cocoon and engulfing itself in a suffocating cocoon. And I would say if it had personality, at this point the little caterpillar would be saying something like, what the hell is going on? Are ministers leaving? What are we going to do now? Necessary. Now, once it builds that little cocoon, what happens to it? It liquefies. We are in a room of liquefying people. We are. And it's normal and it's necessary. But it's not the end. Because from the chrysalis, what happens? It starts to move in its own pace. Do not get a therapist that will tear your chrysalis apart. I'm not joking here, because a lot of us go to therapists, and what they do is they start trying to rip us out of the chrysalis and say, well, we'll get you fixed. We don't want you suffocating in that chrysalis. It's like, well, there's a period of suffocation that is necessary for the enzymes to be released into that chrysalis to start the formation of the new butterfly. Now, it's a call sometimes to know how long to stay in that world of whether it's depression, anger, sadness, whatever those chrysalis experiences are, it's up to you to figure out. And if a therapist is there to help you through the chrysalis, yay. But after the chrysalis comes the butterfly, and the new thing is born. I'm out of time. I asked, how much time do you give Richard? Is he usually done by now? Okay. Then I will be done. We're going to do a quick meditation, but this is the introduction. Next time we're going to go into more detail about this. Let's just take a moment and let this kind of sink in. If you want to close your eyes, go into that imaginal place. Take a breath. And what came to my mind is just to look at something in your life right now that feels like you're being taken apart. For me, lately, it's been getting older. Looking in that mirror and going, who is that? Whatever it is, just imagine that. Take a breath. And for me, what I say these days when I'm conscious, and I'm not often, is there's purpose in this aging. The ego will immediately ask, well, what? I don't know. But there's something new coming. Take a breath. And we'll leave this meditation in that sense of purposefulness, of soul making in every crisis. And so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Bogar. That was excellent. The universe operates through dynamic exchange. Giving and receiving are different aspects of the flow of energy in the universe and in our willingness to give that which we seek. We keep the abundance of the universe circulating in our lives. Deepak Chopra. We offer opportunities to practice giving and receiving that we might cooperate with the reciprocal nature of the spiritual universe. In other words, while your giving matters to us, we suggest your giving matter to you as well. Electronic giving options will appear on the screen. For those choosing to give a physical gift, the ushers will gratefully pass baskets. If you would like information about UIL's programs of regular giving, planned giving, or legacy giving, please grab a Giver's Circle brochure or write the Board of Trustees directly. For those already participating, we extend a special thanks. Please join me in our affirmation as it appears on screen. I give freely and fearlessly. fulfilling the law of giving and receiving.
Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen. Blessed always, blessed always, for the arms of God surround us. Let our joy be so triumphant that we rest in God and say amen.
Well, do we have any new visitors today? Just raise your hand. Thank you for being here. If you would like to come to the welcome and information station in the back of the sanctuary, I would love to give you a newcomer's packet, and it's filled with all kinds of goodies for you. Also, I would like to give you a daily word. It's an undated copy that has positive, uplifting messages and affirmations. Also, if you'd like to go to the Soul Things Books and Gift Store, Marion will be glad to give you a copy as well. Also, in the seat backs in front of you, there are informational cards that you can fill out. And one of them is a prayer request card, stay in touch card, and then you'll get 2 emails a month. So that would be lovely. And invitations. Please register for all events on the calendar page at www.unityinlynnwood.org and consider UIL's small group and interfaith ministries as they appear on your screen. Please mark your calendars to join Tim Vokes at our semi-annual weeding party on Saturday, June 29th, 9 to 1 p.m. Help us beautify our gardens by lending a hand or two. Come for the whole time or whatever you can spare. Lunch is included. Every 4th Sunday is Prayer Sunday, where your prayer chaplains also offer divine wholeness in the family room after service. Allow a prayer chaplain to hold you in silence, recognizing the truth. Hold on one second, I lost my place. And now I can't find it. Allow a prayer chaplain to hold you in silence, recognizing the truth of your wholeness. So whether today finds you in the valley or on the mountaintop, please allow one of our chaplains to pray with you after service. Would you like a restful retreat at a beautiful campus on the Hood Canal with an opportunity to mingle with like-minded spiritual seekers? If so, consider registering for the Edgar K.C. Summer Seebeck Retreat. This year's speaker is Allison Ray, and the program topic is Mystical Teachings, Healing Temples, and Cosmic Laws. The retreat will be held July 3rd through the 7th. Additional information is available at the Welcome and Information Station, and you can register on UIL's website. The Grief Support Group continues on Wednesdays through June 26th at 6:30 p.m. Barbara Thorpe facilitates this confidential on-site group. We want to hear from you during this time of transition. If you have a compliment or comment, please write "We Listen" at unityinlynnwood.org. We're here for you. And finally, the town hall is today at 12:30 p.m. Please join UIL's Board of Trustees for a time of prayer, sharing, questions, and information. UIL's new interim minister, Reverend Denise Schellink, will be joining us. If attending virtually, please register to receive a link. And now, welcome Dr. Jennifer.
Thank you, Frances, and thank you again, Reverend Bogar. Really, really amazing. Do we have some prayer chaplains here today? Would you mind standing or waving and identifying yourself so folks know? All right. Find the prayer chaplains afterwards. If you're part of our online audience, you have prayer chaplains available to you as well. Please email prayer@unityinlynnwood.org. Provide your phone number, and a prayer chaplain will give you a call within the next couple hours. Prayer is central to whichever part of the circle we might be standing in. We support you in prayer. So let's just take that idea of prayer or connection with the divine, or whatever you choose to call it in our closing moments here, and breathe into your heart. Breathe in gratitude and expectancy and appreciation for all of the gifts that life brings us, even when maybe in the moment they don't look like a gift, but we know they are. We just breathe in the love and the strength and the wisdom that is present in every single soul in this room, in this community, and we give thanks. And so it is.
May the long time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on, guide your way on, guide